Hey guys, coming to you live again today on this motivational Monday time. And what we want to talk to you guys about is the book that we've been going through as a team, Extreme Ownership, written by Jacko, Willink, and Babin. And these guys have put together a phenomenal book, and it's really all about leadership. And it's taking the best practices from real wartime experiences from Jacko and his Navy SEALs. I think it was a 36-man Navy SEAL team that they had in Iraq, in Ramadi. And they actually had a mission while they were there. Their mission was to secure and stabilize Ramadi. That was their mission. And again, just to be kind of recap a little bit, that was almost impossible. Like everybody said, there's no way the United States forces are going to go in there and be able to secure and stabilize that area. Uh, and in chapter 4, it's called Check Your Ego. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Uh, check your ego. I think that's a check we all need from time to time. I know I most certainly do. And I probably have my ego checked here today as I try to tell the story as Jacko told it, from his standpoint of being right there in the time of this battle in 2005 and 2006. Jacko and his 36-man Navy SEAL team were stationed in Ramadi. In fact, they were stationed in El Anbar Province. It's the most dangerous area in all of Ramadi, this province. In fact, it was where there was the most U.S. casualties. And daily, several times a week, in fact, the Sunni insurgency and the Al Qaeda 20 or 30 men teams would try to attack and push back the U.S. forces. And they were well skilled, very determined to get the U.S. off their land. And that it was dangerous. They were very determined, very well skilled. While this was going on, you had the Navy SEALs there, you had the Army there, and you had the Marines there. And all these guys, different, same United States, same mission to secure and stabilize Ramadi, but different outfits in ways and different ways of going about doing that mission. And so sometimes, the Navy SEALs, Jocko said, even being in the SEALs, sometimes they had some ego. And, and that ego sometimes made it hard and difficult for people to get along. But Jocko, being the wise leader and good leader he is, understood the value of being humble. And he was stationed to go to, I believe it was the legendary 1506 Battalion. Now, why do we say legendary? These were the guys, have you seen the Band of Brothers? That movie, that HBO series and a book series, phenomenal. I got to watch it a while back and I did some binge watching when I did. It was just really well done, talking about the paratroopers that landed in Germany and how they worked together to fight back in those areas. And so they had the legendary 1506 battalion there, the Army battalion there. And Jocko and his men were asked to go train with these guys. So I didn't know this, but apparently Navy SEALs can dress a little more casual, dress how they want to dress, maybe. They were able to let their hair grow out a little longer, and they weren't held to the Army standards that all the other people there training were held to. Jocko wanted his guys to come in and to fit in and to get along with the 1506 battalion. So he asked his men, guys, let's keep our haircuts regular, high and tight. Let's, in fact, wear the same uniforms so that we all look like we're in this same thing together. And he made sure that him and his men respected and got along well with that Army regiment there. Now, they went out in missions together. They were fighting well together. They were pushing back the enemy, winning multiple battles. And one day, the head up, the lieutenant of the 1506 battalion, got a call. And they said, we're going to be sending in a highly trained Iraqi battalion and a U.S. battalion to come in and work with you guys in pushing back the Sunni insurgents and the Al Qaeda in the area. Again, in the worst province of all, El Anbar province. So the lieutenant picked up the phone. He calls Jacko. He's like, Jacko, look, man, they got these guys that are coming in. They're supposed to be really good. In fact, they have better equipment and could be even better than us. Jacko, should we just let these guys learn some of the lessons the hard way? Jacko said he knew instantly that the lieutenant had let his ego get in the way because he was fearful that they may not be able to continue to fight in the area and push back the insurgent, and that these guys would be the ones getting to do all the fighting. And he was a warrior, but he let his ego get in the way. And Jacko said, "No, sir, no way do we want to let these guys learn the hard way, because learning the hard way there meant death." So he said, "We want to do all we can to help these guys." And the lieutenant, being the smart and wise man he was, knew him instantly. He said, "Yeah, you're right, Jacko. Let's do the best we can." But the new group that came in with the well-trained Iraqi soldiers and some Americans, they had a really big ego. And they didn't play team ball. They wanted to do things when they wanted to do it, and they wanted to do it their way. They didn't want to train with the other units. They set themselves apart. And unfortunately, in this whole process, um, it caused disruption. Like, if they are not willing to communicate with the battalion there and with the Navy SEALs and talk about areas they were going to go out and attack, then they knew that that could be friendly fire. Blue on blue, I think is what they call it. And so they seen the challenge of this, and they tried to work it with this other group, but that other group wasn't willing to work with them. So the lieutenant of the 1506th Army said, "Guys, this ain't working. It's dangerous here. As good as you are, you got to go." So, despite the fact that these guys were probably better, had better tools, better equipment, yet they were not willing to be humble. They let their big old ego get in the way. And now they're no longer able to fight in that area. They have to go and watch from the sidelines, while Jacko and the 36 men Navy SEALs are out there doing the battle, along with the 1506 Battalion, legendary battalion, Band of Brothers, are out there fighting together side by side, and they're taking territory. And those guys, even though they were better, had to sit out. Look, I thought this was phenomenal. I'm just going to read this. This is powerful, what he says right here. When a SEAL leader gets fired, it's almost never because they are tactically unsound, physically unfit, unable to read a map, or otherwise incompetent. When a SEAL leader gets fired, it's almost always because they lack humility. They can't check their ego. No matter how obviously they're failing or how valid the criticism, they won't listen. They refuse to accept responsibility. They refuse to implement guidance and direction to improve. These leaders are incapable of conducting a realistic, honest self-assessment to examine their own mistakes and failures. They cannot be taught. Therefore, they never improve. Their problems persist, often growing, and eventually they get fired. So, guys, I think we've probably all kind of been in situations where either we were the one getting fired or we were observing somebody that couldn't take correction and knew maybe what was about to happen to that person. They were either going to get with the program or get out. And so I thought that was really powerful that Jacko could even say that, and that I think those words were very, very true. Very true. T.D. Jakes said this a long time ago, and I'll never forget it. He said, "I have two eyes. I can see everybody out there. I can see all around me, but I can't see me." And that's why we need good brothers, good friends, good family members, good sisters in our life, good spouses in our lives to help us when maybe we're getting out of check. Our egos are getting too big. And that's why we got to take the low road. I've been in real estate now for 18 years. Love what I do. I'm very blessed. I love what I do, and I love the people I do it with. I got a good friend in this room with me right now, Champion, who's helping us record this material and send it out to YouTube and make it to where other people can know about it. I've known Champion now probably 5-6 years. I'm very blessed. I've worked with Duke Davis for over 7 years. KC, my wife. I mean, I couldn't love what I do more, and I couldn't love doing it with the people I do it with more. 18 years in the business. Thursday, I negotiated an offer right here with one of our teammates who had worked hard and brought a buyer to the property. And got through the offer, got everything signed and bound. And then Friday, I got a call from the seller. And she said, "Now, Elijah, I know I told you I wanted 2 weeks after closing. Did you get me that?" And I'm thinking to myself, well, we negotiated the offer. I sent everything over to you. We wrote up the summary. You seen it all. It wasn't in there. It was possession day of closing. So my natural response was to almost say, no, we discussed it and you never said anything about it. So no, we didn't get it. But I knew immediately that would be wrong. And I knew that if I took that approach, that would bring a bigger rift between me and this client. So, and then also, most importantly, I knew that it was my fault. Why? Because I'm the professional. She hired me to watch out for her. I should have had her best interest in heart. And I do, but I missed it. So I had to own that. No, ma'am, I am so sorry. I did not pay attention to that detail when we presented the offer. I should have highlighted that to you more. And I know you did talk about that, so I do apologize. And she was very accepting about it. And then she said, "Now I am keeping the curtain rods and the mirror in the bathroom, just like we talked about when we were there." I said, "Oh gosh, no, I forgot that too." So now I've forgotten 3 things that we had talked about, and we've already got a bound contract. So it feels like, oh, I hate this. I hate that I made all these mistakes. I called my listing coordinator. "Sir, did we put the um, did we put in the agent remarks that these items weren't remaining?" And Lucas looked it up real quick. He said, "No, it's not in there." And I think Lucas may have felt like it was somewhat his fault, but I said right away, "Lucas, it didn't matter if it was in there or not. If it didn't get in the contract, then I'm going to be responsible for that. So, no fault of yours, 100% my fault. I made the boo-boo here, but I just wanted to see if it's in there. And going forward, let's make sure that we put these things in the agent-only remarks, just so the other agents see it." "Yes, sir." So call the agent who has the buyer, and been in the business 18 years. These are good people that I know, but sometimes it's easy to think, well, because I've been doing it so long, I've got to act like I got it all together, or maybe I'm perfect and I don't make mistakes. So I had to kind of call with that humbleness of saying, "Hey, look, I made a bad mistake. My seller's a little nervous. She wanted a week or two after closing, and there's a few items that we forgot. And I know we're already bound to this contract. It's 100% my fault. Could you give me a hand?" Thankfully, the agents was very helpful and willing to call the client and speak to them about these things, and we got everything back on track. But here's the thing, guys. I could have blamed I could have blamed circumstances. I could have blamed the fact that we had multiple months in between when we had that original conversation to the contract. Could blame the fact that we have personally have 12 or 13 pending contracts right now that we're working through of mine. Talk to a lot of clients. Could have made any excuse I wanted to, but none of those excuses would have solved the problem, would it? The only way to solve the problem is to own it, to admit when we make a mistake, and to have the humility to make those phone calls and fix where the problems were the best we can and go forward the best we can. And, thankfully, everything worked out fine. I could have been in hot water if the buyer agent and the folks that were buying wanted to be a little tougher. I could have had to eat a lot more crow financially, could have had to come out of pocket. So these things happen. Here's the thing. I feel that when we can admit we make a mistake, we're going to work through it and we're going to get through it a whole lot better. But if we can't admit it, and I do work with and see a lot of times big egos that can't admit when they make a mistake. And if we can't admit it, then what's the odds of it ever getting any better? Slim to none. Who has to own the mistakes when they're made? The leader, the person in charge, the one who made the mistake. They need to admit it. Guys, how many relationships would be so much better if we could express humility instead of pride? The Bible says before pride comes a fall, but before honor is humility. So it's so much better to be humble, to admit when we make mistakes, and I think the old saying, get the beam out of your eye before you try to get it out of somebody else's. I think that helps us not be as judgmental. Like when we know that we can forget and we can make mistakes, then we can be easier on other people when they do the same and do our best to help them, not judge them or say, look how stupid you are, or I can't believe what an idiot you are. Can't believe you did that. That doesn't help. But when you can say, gosh, I've done those things, I've made those mistakes, I get it. I think we can work through it. This is how I see a path of way through. I think that helps people. And in any profession, hopefully we all have the same, hopefully we keep the mission in front of us. And that mission should be about love God and love others. And when we're really serving others in life, and that's our mission is to help others, then I think we can put our egos aside. But if it's all about us and look how big I am and look how great I am, then it's hard to put an ego aside. It's hard to admit when you made a mistake. We all make them. The sooner we can admit it, the better we are. And the quicker we can help others maybe jump those hurdles. So, guys, motivation to you this week, and just a thought, I want a question to kind of leave you with, and maybe even a challenge to leave you with. Ask your spouse, ask a team member, ask a friend this week, somebody who knows you that you know and like and trust. Ask them, hey, what's one area that I can improve in? Um, and get their feedback, and then immediately implement on it. I asked Duke Davis this over the week. I said, hey, brother, what's one area you could see that I can improve in? And Duke sent me back a text and he said, just one? And then a laugh and then tears coming out of his eyes. I'm just thinking, yeah, just one. Let's start there. So we all have areas that we can improve. Probably have a bunch of areas. If you're me, you got a bunch of areas that you can improve in. But the fact is we sometimes we don't know if we don't ask. So have the courage, have the humility to ask somebody that you know cares about you, what's one area I can improve in, and then go to work on it. Thank you all so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.